everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Okimbalo in Abuja. A lot of Arsenal fans out there. They will be irate. First time that the team is doing something that is, well, one is impressed with. Well, congratulations to all the Arsenal fans. You might sleep easy, but that doesn't mean that the cup is at your reach. I mean, you perform well a lot of the seasons, but you never get anything out of it. For those of us who know that London is blue, well, that's on the light note for the football lovers. What an evening it's been, and what a week it has been in Nigeria, politics-wise. It's been something a lot of us have been keeping close tab on. A democracy conference held a few days ago in Abuja is generating a lot of debate in the land. Most pro-Tinubu Nigerians have been reacting to what has been interpreted as criticisms of the present government's policies. And some of the speakers at that conference are former allies and friends of the president, some of whom include Nasir El-Rufai, Rotimi Amechi, and the former vice president, Atiku Abubakar. Today, Sunday Dare, one of President Bola Tinubu's media advisors, had gone to Twitter and has reacted, called all of them wannabes who are heating up the polity. But for the sake of those who missed out on what really happened, even us here, we're finding it difficult to catch up, but we'll catch up. And I'm going to play some tapes for you to set the record so that you understand what all this is all about. There are a lot of people who think maybe the storm really is gathering ahead of 2027. If you look at the caliber of people and the persons that attended that conference here in Abuja, from Kade Fayemi, former governor of Ekiti State, to Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, former governor of Anambra State, to Atiku Abubakar, former presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 elections, Rotimi Amechi. You can see former governor of Akwa Ibom, Obong Victor Atta. A lot of them. I mean, it was a packed event. And there were those who are one leg in APC and one leg out of APC. Those who are fully in PDP. Some of those who are in Labour Party. Let me begin with this one. And you've heard the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. Or maybe I should begin with Rotimi Amechi. Which one should I start with? Oh, let me serve you with Rotimi Amechi. This credit goes to Symphony online platform, which you will be able to call this video from. Rotimi Amechi is talking about the desperation of politicians. Take a listen to him.
You are talking about abusing everybody. Nobody has power and will give it to you. Nobody, not even me. If you want a pastor as president, can get one. The politician is there in Nigeria to steal, to maim, to kill, to remain in power. If you think Tinubu will give it to you, you are wasting your time. So when we speak, we forget history. Unfortunately for me, poverty has made me to be part of the political system from when I left university. I left university in 1987 and I've been part of the process till today. You can't wish me away in the formation of APC. You certainly can't wish me away. You can't wish me away in how APC won election. You can't. But the truth is that if some of us did not stick at our neck, say, PDP, good luck, we want to die with you. When they saw that we were ready to die, what did they do? They gave up power. So we have sweet mouth, we'll talk about it, we'll repeat these things every day. Tomorrow they will call you in Lagos, you will go. Somebody told me in Lagos, said, look, Mr. Amechi, I said, sir, you see these people that gathered here? I say, yes. We called them all. Transport, this, they came. If tomorrow Tinubu comes with the same transport, they will also come.
So what he said got the attention of the Minister of State for Defense, Mr. Matawale, who is the former governor of Zamfara State, who was warning Mr. Amechi to be careful, but reached out to Mr. Amechi whether or not he can speak on this matter. And Mr. Matawale also, on his own, is saying that Mr. Amechi should be careful about what he's saying and how he's eating up the polity. But Mr. Amechi has challenged Mr. Matawale to a national television debate right here on Channels Television. Interesting scenario. I'm coming somewhere. I'm going somewhere rather. This one is from a very good friend of President Bola Tinubu. One that some people say it was Mr. Tinubu actually who poked this man, and perhaps some of what we are seeing today playing out in the APC was caused by the president himself, politically speaking. Nasir El-Rufai also spoke there, and this time around, the likes of Daniel Buwala and the rest have been responding to Mr. Nasir El-Rufai, and you can see the exchange on social media. But this is a snippet of what Nasir El-Rufai said at that conference. Take a listen to him.
We said we are progressive, but we are not progressive anymore. Okay? What about a societal project? What is our big societal project? I've mentioned the three. But now, if you ask people that were elected on the platform of the APC, they will say, I wanted to be governor, I wanted to be president, I wanted to. No, nobody talks about a national project, societal project anymore. It's about me, myself, and I. What about manifesto? When was the last time you saw the manifesto of a political party in Nigeria? The last one I remember was the one we drafted in 2007 for the PDP. Okay? Since then, the PDP has never produced any manifesto. We did one at the formation of the APC, a very detailed one in 2015. But since then, nothing. The other parties, I don't even know. I haven't seen anything resembling a manifesto. What about membership? Members want to take from the party rather than contribute to the party. So we are in a serious crisis because these political parties are the vehicles through which leadership will emerge. Yet, they exist only on paper or in our imagination. And we must work. And this is a challenge for those in opposition. I'm not yet in opposition, by the way. I'm still in the APC. But this is a challenge to those in opposition. You must come together and form a party that, in my view, should closely resemble the NPN of the Second Republic. That's one political party that was an effective machine.
All right. That's Mr. Nasir El-Rufai's own take. Well, the one that got a lot of people angry, some opposition parties said he needs to come and give evidence to what he has said, is that of Mr. Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president and the presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 elections. Well, he said some opposition party are collecting 15 million naira from the APC government. It's a bribery to keep silence as opposition leaders. Exactly what? Take a listen to Mr. Atiku Abubakar.
Immediately after the elections, results were announced and members emerged before even the National Assembly was officially inaugurated. I invited members of the House of Representatives from all the political parties to my house. They all came. I said, look, I want you to take control of the leadership of the House of Reps. Because if you all work together, you will produce the leadership of the House of Reps because of your number. Whether you are Labour, whether you are AP, whether whatever. And they promised me they were going to do it. Again, we went to the Governors Forum in Bauchi, where we elected the chairman of the Governors Forum of PDP. Again, I called the members of the National Assembly, particularly House of Reps, and reminded them about the meeting we had in Abuja in my house. Make sure when you are electing your leaders, you conform to what we agreed. They went, and they were given money, and they all dispersed. I want to say here publicly, I met with a political party leadership in the present opposition. And they told me bluntly that this government gives them 50 million each. Where do we go from here? Which means if we are not careful, we are talking to some of you here, but you are recipients of the 50 million you are getting from the federal, from the APC government. You may take exception to that, but I was told by a high-ranking member of an opposition party.
Okay, so some of the leaders of the opposition already asking Mr. Atiku Abubakar, name names, mention those who are collecting this money. But Sunday Diary has gone to his X handle today, and he's been responding. And this is what Sunday Diary, who is a media advisor to President Bola Tinubu, says, quote, indeed, while the president was seeking solutions to Nigeria's energy problems in Dar es Salaam, some wannabes were heating up the polity. Expectedly, it was a gathering convened to further spread ill will. Nothing new came out of the gathering, different from the opposition script we are used to. A few of the participants went overboard in their vitriol, fanning the embers for adopting undemocratic actions. These political gladiators have antecedents that are well known. We urge Nigerians to begin their scrutiny early and choose between political hecklers and real progressives. The clouds are beginning to clear. The stage sets soon. The combat begins. It looks to me, end of quote, it looks to me that the stage is looking set for the 2027. And there are those who know that politically speaking, if you are a politician and you are not preparing for 2027, either by way of politicking, by way of lobbying, or by way of performance, you are going to be a failure because it takes 4 years to plan for the next election. Ask INEC. That's the organizer of the election. The politicians know better. You need to start making, and you can see that politicians are meeting either in the day or the night. They're also planning how they're going to remove Bola Tinubu from office. Whether Bola Tinubu wants to retain office in 2027, all is left to Nigerians to decide. But tonight, so much on our minds. I'll get reactions on some of these issues. But my guest tonight will be engaging on the issues of foreign relations, where Donald Trump is wielding the big stick. Mexico, Canada, China are recipients of Donald Trump's tariffs big stick, but they have responded in like manner. They have also imposed their own ban. But how much of that will affect Donald Trump and his country, the pro-America concept of Donald Trump? Well, is Bola Tinubu going to be caught in all of these? What way should he go? My guest tonight has a huge knowledge, considering the fact that he's a graduate of Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, and someone who abandoned his businesses and gone to the National Assembly. He has huge knowledge in foreign policy. Very controversial also. He's a lawyer and a federal lawmaker. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is live for us here in Abuja. So it's a pleasure having you, Senator. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. Happy New Year.
Same to you. Good to see you. Yeah, it's February already.
Yeah.
I'd like you to react to some of what you heard today. Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, Nasir El-Rufai. There are a lot of people who are former Bola Tinubu's friends, but they're in the opposition. And it does look like the storm is gathering, and the heavyweights who are planning against Bola Tinubu ahead of 2027, and your political party, of course.
Well, thank you very much. Nice to start, and good comments. I've listened to some of them, to play them. But the question is that, is Bola Tinubu legitimacy in question? That's the real thing. Is his legitimacy in question? Is El-Rufai saying that Bola Tinubu doesn't have the legitimacy now, in 2027? Does he think that that legitimacy can be transferred to another person, either within APC or outside APC? Legitimacy is central on legal and moral parameter. So morally, is Bola Tinubu discredited? Legally, is Bola Tinubu discredited? If the answer is no, then what are you worrying yourself about? Let whatever storm gather. It will gather and collapse as we go on. If you say people give bribe, you need to provide evidence. We deal with empirical evidence in order to do reaction. We don't react, but we don't react by narratives. So the key point is that Opposition will say whatever they want to say, but that does not take away your legitimacy of governance. And I don't think Bola Tinubu is bothered about all these comments and sentiments that have been expressed. You know, El-Rufai was in the National Assembly to be clear for minister. He was before us in the Senate. He answered questions, but at the end of the day, he didn't get the ministerial appointment. Might be some challenge or whatever happened. And another time he claimed he never applied to be minister. If you don't apply to be minister, how do you come, who forced you to come to the National Assembly? You just take your car and drive to the National Assembly to
Was it fair the way Nasir El-Rufai was treated? It's
not whether it's fair or not. It's issue of security.
Would you be happy if you were treated like that?
When I contest for governorship election in those states and I didn't get the ticket, did I gather storm and destroy the government?
But you saw what Bola Tinubu said, the president.
Yeah.
President Bola Tinubu said to Nasir El-Rufai in Kaduna. He was literally pleading that he should come and work with him.
Look, Bola Tinubu is one person in the government, the head of the government. You want to say there are other issues, there are other variables that Bola Tinubu will have to listen to. You know, these compelling variables, they vitiate the dependable variable, which is national government. You cannot form national government. You want to make Jimoh a minister. Security says no. So you should go ahead and make Jimoh a minister. It's not going to work that way. Government doesn't run like that. Democracy is vulnerable. And we are dealing...
So all
clearly,
of those
wait, just a minute. We are dealing with vulnerability of democracy. And that's exactly what you must understand. It is not the fact that I promised to make you X, Y, and I didn't make you. There you go and get annoyed. No. I see a change there. We started that in December. We greeted each other. We talked about way forward and all that. It doesn't mean that the walls are collapsed. You were being government during Buhari. During Obasanjo, you were there. You remember that El-Rufai was even honestly greeting Buhari. You didn't talk about anything on those moral challenges as at that time. He laid down in the villa greeting Buhari. You are saying this about Bola Tinubu, but nobody is talking about the fact that politics is based on the economy. The economy is the driver of political system. If the economy is bad, you can't drive any political system. No political agenda.
What is in question here?
So what is the question here? Is more
is the performance
of the activities
and the governance of Bola Tinubu.
Exactly.
And that is
on
why those who are, Rotimi Amechi,
yes,
who was also an APC member, one of those who are pivotal in the formation of the APC, are looking like they are on the other side. How come that a lot of these heavyweights are on the other side? And you know what this means? If you have this kind of people who are against you inside your political party, does that mean well for the politics of APC and for Bola Tinubu?
You are talking about that is one-sided argument. What about those from PDP that have joined us? You are not looking at that. You abandon that completely. You are talking about people who have grievances within this APC and who are now coming to castigate their president, out of their discomfortable position. You know about people who come from APC to join us. What about Wike? Which party does he belong to? Where is he?
Has he joined APC?
It's PDP, isn't it?
Yeah, he said he's still a PDP.
You know what he said now? He's a PDP person. It's an APC. I mean, in APC government. He's serving in the government. How many people like that have been with us how many governors have crossed to APC? And how many of them are planning to come? How many senators now have left the late...
Are there governors planning to come to...
Of course. No more than
sitting governors of PDP planning to come to the APC?
I don't want to mention names so that I don't embarrass people, but I can tell you that when I come next, when I came here last time, I told you Trump will win election. You shouted at me. When I came here last, I said Nigeria should borrow money. You shouted at me. Now I'm telling you again now. When I come back next time, you see governors that are close to APC. Yeah, you talk about, look, when Buhari was president, right? We printed 30 trillion naira. We don't say the economy was bad. You don't say that people are bribing people or giving people money that time. Are you supposed to print 3 trillion naira without focus on mega project or project development? And that money went to where? The money supply to the market became increased, inflation goes up, and then of course subsidy remains. Bola Tinubu is coming to say, let me face the economy and give new life to Nigeria, which was coming from financial dangerous lane. With this 2035 budget, incredible budget that you expect things to turn around.
Is Tinubu
are now coming to
Senator? Is Tinubu setting the economy right?
Absolutely right. What do you mean? The debt ratio to GDP came down to 68%. We were using revenue to service debt, and 96% during Buhari. Now we're using 68% to service debt. You are telling me the economy is not
I
good.
imagine that some people in Igbo Taco, some people in Ondo South will be wondering, where is Senator Jimoh Ibrahim coming from?
What do you mean?
Some of those poor people in your senatorial district, they will be wondering what
Am
exactly.
I not affecting my...
Some of those who bought 2 years ago, who bought can of milk at a certain price, which is 4 times now. Some of those who were buying petrol at a certain price, which is incredibly higher.
Cite me one country in the world or in Africa where in that country maybe they bought milk at 4 naira last year and they are still buying the same milk at 4 naira this year. One in the global system.
Is it in the same proportion?
Whether it's
we are talking about food inflation, Senator.
Listen.
Food inflation. We are talking about real.
Listen, whether it's proportionate or disproportionate. Tell me one country, one, Ghana or Niger or America or Britain, anyone where they sold bread 1 naira last year and they are still selling bread 1 naira this year. So if you cannot find one, you are unfair to the
Are you justifying the level of poverty in the land and why the big question of how inflation has risen, food inflation has risen so high,
the economy,
and why a lot of people
the economy had gone bankrupt before this man came in. What are you talking about? You use 96% of your revenue to service debt, not to even pay the debt down. Unemployment was at what rate? Inflation was what rate? So you are just now saying in 18 months, you should solve all the problem and return the price of bread back to what it was 5 years ago. It's not achievable. Let's be realistic.
But there's no point with Senator, the reality is that a president came into office on the first day of assumption of office. He made a strategic economic move which disrupted the economy.
What is
the removal of
what disrupted it doing now in America?
It disrupted the economy.
That is not disruption. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a liberalist, running a liberal democracy. He's not a realist. So he doesn't have intention to inflict pain on anyone. But the economy was at financial dangerous lane before he came.
But his actions, the actions of his government inflicted pain.
Listen, just a minute. 30 trillion was printed by Buhari. The war didn't come to an end. What is the implication of 30 trillion naira printed by ways and means to inflation, to money supply, to exchange rates? You think we can just come out of this problem in one day? And people will just gather and they will say, somebody give money to somebody, somebody say they should go and form leadership of National Assembly. Don't you know that it will be difficult for National Assembly to do otherwise against Tinubu? Because he has absolute legitimacy there. When we were campaigning for Senate President, I was on the other side. But he won. There's nothing you can do because people, they likes him. You talk about my constituency. I became a senator 18 months ago. Now I can tell you that we are commissioning about 66 boreholes there. Solar power owned. We have roads we are affecting. We have people we are affecting. In the midst of this government you say is not good. Where will the government be good for Nigerians?
The question we are asking is that it is not bet whether or not the government is good. We are saying whether or not the effect of the government's action and impact is having on the Nigerian people.
They're doing palliative effect, cruising effect, or whatever economic reform that have a short-time effect that has to bring pains. Government has not denied the fact, and that's the one thing you enjoy about Tinubu is liberalist perspective of issues and its own traits as a liberalist. All of these are gathering and talking. Have they not been with him several times?
So, Senator, let me ask you, with your experience and your knowledge of economics, and I'd like to know, probably you can educate us tonight for some of the things that we do not know. When you have an economy that looks tanking, and you have an economy that almost all the indices, the major indices of the economy are in the negative, food inflation, inflation rate, unemployment figures, out of school children. A lot of all of these indices are in the negative. Shouldn't Nigerians be worried? And it's almost 2 years, 50% of the time of this government is almost spent, and Nigerians are still asking the dividend of democracy. And you say that the average person should not be asking the question whether or not this government is doing what is right.
Nobody is telling you not to exercise your fundamental human rights or do it legitimately with empirical evidence. So if you're talking about a government that has reduced the burden of debt from 98% to 68%, you think it's not doing well. You're talking about a government that has do deficit financing to $15 billion. That's about $100 million there. It's not doing well, according to you. You know, that government is not doing well. Now you have a government that increase civil servant salary for minimum wage and push it up in compliance with labor demand. It's not doing well, according to you. Now, security index. We were in this country during the last administration, and we know what security index is about. I don't need to discuss security matters on television, but I can tell you that if we have a positive security index, you say the government is not doing well again. So when will the government do well?
When people start buying food at a price that is not choking them.
It's not about
when people start living like their lives is not going to be taken out of their chest, literally speaking, because of the cost of commodities in the country. When people of Nigeria can sleep with their two eyes closed.
Now, with the security index, you can sleep with your two eyes closed.
According to Senator Ibrahim.
Well, you can do that. You go there, Nigeria security index, positive. And foreign investors are coming. Now, go there. The dollar is coming down against the naira. You are not talking. The other time I came here and said, oh, the dollar got to 1,400. When it's 1,400, 500, you didn't say anything. You keep quiet. As if nothing has happened. Central Bank has paid $7 billion backlog from Buhari. You are not talking anything about that. It doesn't make any news. It's not a news item to you. So all of these matters, center on individual desire. People think you can say Nigerians are crying in order for you to have political power. That is not what we are talking about. We're looking at things within the context of the economy using data. I don't react to narratives. I want you to confront me with data. And if the data is saying so, President said, I will move the inflation to 15% in the year 2025. You are not saying anything. I will increase the oil supply, the crude oil, from 1.2 to 2.20. You are not saying anything. I will spend 5 billion on security in order to achieve this. You are not saying anything. I put 3 trillion naira, on education. If you're spending 5 trillion naira on security to increase crude oil supply from 1.2% by million barrel a day to 2.20 million barrel a day, it's not working, isn't it? So all of these things you are talking about, I don't understand where you get them from. So these are coming from
it's me, a journalist, asking you and putting the facts to you.
Yes.
Politicians are also saying it. Let's assume that whatever you are taking, and you're sounding like Donald Trump already because you are disputing facts. And an average person who is watching will imagine, is Senator Ibrahim living in another country, for goodness sake? Because the food that people are buying in the market, maybe we go into, well, you're a rich man, so you probably go into the different market than some of us average person who the kind of market that we go. But the big question here is that the average person is feeling the pinch, and the renewed hope agenda that your party, you people preach about, they're asking, where is the renewed hope?
Okay, very good. Now let me tell you very clearly, you have a reform. It's not the same day that the benefit of the reform crystallizes into your comfort. You see that happening in America. I'm sure you say you want to go to that very soon. Now you see tariff. What is the end? Who is the end? What is the end consequence of tariff? Who bear the burden? It depends that buy the goods. So what is President Trump doing? He's actually copying some of the initial policy of this present government. We remove subsidy on oil. So you increase tariff in America, so that you don't want to tell Americans that I'm going to tax you directly. I will increase tariff on people importing goods to our country. What will those people do? They will increase the price. Who pay that? Those who have money in America will go and buy those goods. Price has increased. Government has taken the tariff on arrival at 20% or 25%. So don't continue to criticize your government when the government is doing that. We talk about the New Hope agenda. Our agenda is on course because it comes with the face of a reform. That reform has its benefit in the short run. And within the short run, there were palliative measures that were introduced such that it can cushion the effect of any pains that you have. And as you move on down the line, you realize that Nigeria begins to be very happy, more happier than what they were before. It's not they're not happy before, because all of this you are talking about, I haven't seen any university that have closed down. I've not seen many companies that have closed down. Aliko Dangote brought in his refinery within this period. He's selling, dropping price of petroleum, increasing it and all that. He didn't collapse. I've not seen any television station that have closed down. Yes, things are bad. I've not seen anybody. I don't know all of these things.
So Nigeria is in the best state.
I am telling you that
if
you consider the economy in the previous administration that put the economy on financial dangerous lane, and with this new administration and the dynamics of economic policy that this government is distilling to ensure, look, 2025, 49.7 trillion budget, right? Deficit financing of 15 trillion. Now, servicing debt, 16 trillion. 16 trillion servicing debt, which this government didn't collect. Now, plus 15 trillion deficit financing, 31 trillion minus 49 trillion. What is left now? You look at the size of the economy. The budget is $30 billion. You can't compare that with China. China is 16 trillion GDP. Nigeria is $482 billion GDP. Will you compare that? So what are you talking about? In what way has this government performed so badly that people cannot see, reasons? You have 16 trillion to service debt of the 49.7 trillion. You have 15 trillion deficit financing. 15 plus 16, those two items are already arrested. You must spend them. Now, that is 31. 31 minus 49.7 trillion. What is left for the government to spend for recurrent and capital projects? And you want to be laughing.
Senator,
your voice of
all your figures and all your analysis comes to a voodoo if it doesn't really distill to the real life situation of the Nigerian people. The fundamental thing is the food on the food on the table and the money in their pocket. The question they will be asking themselves, was their life better before Tinubu came into office, and how is their life right now with Tinubu in power? That is a fundamental question. Now, Tinubu said he's going to do better for them.
The question you have not asked is that, how would their life have been if Tinubu had not come to power? That's the question you left. This is the game with journalism. You ask questions that are convenient to you. You leave questions that are very important to determine
where the phenomenon. I'm asking practical questions about the price of gari, about the price of cassava for the farmers, about the price of rice for the average person, the price of petrol. The people that are watching us tonight will be wondering what exactly Senator Jimoh.
Life is not static.
Things are hard at the moment, Senator.
Thank you. But the reform will solve that problem.
Let
me ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
What was the price of gari during Obasanjo? And what was the price of gari during Buhari? What was the price of a bag of rice during Obasanjo? What was the price of a bag of rice during Jonathan? And what's the price of gari during Buhari? They cannot be the same. Things will continue to go up, and you also have to move on with your life to ensure that you are not coming behind.
The interpretation of
what I'm telling you clearly
the
summary, listen, you cannot summarize for me. I will summarize my view. What I'm telling you clearly is that we are in the face of a reform, and we are transiting from that reform to benefits. So be hopeful in 2025. Excellently hopeful. Because by that year, I can tell you very clearly, the debt servicing ratio will have come down to about 50-something%. Inflation will have gone to 15%. The crude oil supply would have gone up. So better life for Nigerians. And then the New Hope agenda becomes something that you thank the president for. And this is where his legitimacy, hangs on. As I talk to you today, many people from our opposition party are crossing to APC. Why are they crossing? Why can't they say, oh yes, we got Tinubu. Since the economy is bad, we stay there. People will not vote for him. But today, tell me one by-election that PDP lost. The APC lost. One by-election. Tell me one. You don't have. We can't be talking as your spirit direct. You have to talk. Those who are analyzing, those who are meeting, wherever you are meeting, you must understand one thing. You must go with your fact, with your data.
Senator, are you worried about the possible, because all what you are analyzing tonight about the Tinubu's activities and policy is dependent on how they eventually turn out in the next few months. You are saying that some of these policies and the intentions are good, but the outcome are fundamental. Let's assume and let's pray, because I'm an incurable optimist. If I have my way, my middle name would have been Nigeria, because I believe so much in this country. But the big question is that we are praying and are hoping that Bola Tinubu succeed so that Nigeria can succeed. In the meantime, are you worried that if all things will not go exactly the way you and your party planned, does it threaten politically the legitimacy of your party and Bola Tinubu's?
What you have not talked about is the fact that Nigeria is gradually becoming a one-party state. Why? Because of the performance of APC.
Is that a good thing?
Whether it's good or not, democracy is venerable. It's venerability of democracy. It's acceptance. I cannot force people who want to join APC not to join APC. So
Atiku Abubakar is alleging that the APC and the Bola Tinubu government are buying over the opposition.
Well,
and you think that's a good thing?
So it means that we do respect to him because he's somebody I respect a lot. I have a lot of respect for him. But it means that Atiku Abubakar never used money in politics all his life. Assuming that is a variable.
Does that mean that it is right to be bribing, quotes, allegedly
bribing? Talking about bribe. Who is bribing who?
He said that leaders of the opposition have been giving.
Give us the name of the people.
It is Atiku's word against Bola Tinubu's government.
Give us the name of the people that are receiving the bribe and who gave the bribe out. Why are you talking about bribe? They are somebody receiving it, that's what they're giving it. If you don't have the name, they'll keep quiet. That's not where you're wasting your time.
Is that what you are telling Atiku, to keep quiet?
Well, I wouldn't use the language keep quiet because of my respect for him, whatever it was. But I'm telling him that without empirical evidence, you are operating it's a syndrome. That view, when it was conceived, how it was conceived is completely out from eliminate from the day.
So whatever Nasir El-Rufai and Rotimi Amechi are saying, yes, they are saying only because they are not on your side.
Didn't what is name? Amechi didn't he contest the election as president? What was the vote he collected? But that time they said he's going to win. What was the vote? Tinubu came with data. We use data science to win that election. Did Buhari supported him? Did he support Tinubu at the primary? Why are you from this? Are you not from this country?
So Buhari betrayed Tinubu.
We use that.
Is that what happened?
Don't put words to my mouth.
I'm asking you.
I'm telling you clearly that I didn't support him.
Why would Buhari not support somebody whom they are in the same political party?
Not supporting somebody doesn't mean betrayal. It might be you don't like his face. You might also be jealous of the outcome of his election. The key point I'm telling you, which you cannot dispute, is there, which is the fact that, listen, Bola Tinubu has come to stay. Bola Tinubu is running a fantastic economy, and he meant in Nigeria economy, in financial dangerous lane. He's introduced reform and is bringing the economy back. And you have to understand that very clearly. Don't come and tell me because of people gather. People gather from APC to talk about APC. But you don't talk about people moving from PDP to APC. That one completely you neglected, and you think that things should work in that way. If you run election, like I said, the young man ran election, he even came third, not even second. Rotimi Amechi, what position did he come that time? He couldn't win the election. He couldn't even get half of the votes of Bola Tinubu. We just distilled data. And in 2027, I can assure you, we are going to be evidential in winning. It's not going to be something that somebody wins the election. No.
So it's going to be a walk in the park for Bola Tinubu.
No. We're going to sit down. We're going to put the data down. It's about data. I will tell Donald Trump to click to that website and, pick out 30 million Nigeria or more that voted for Tinubu and get their telephone numbers there and phone them himself. It's going to be free and fair election. So we are winning the election.
The 2023 election that Tinubu won was legitimate, free, fair.
So it was not free and fair.
I'm asking you, Senator. You were in that election.
Yes, it was free and fair.
Okay.
Did anybody falsificate number? Did it came out with a very good surprise? Did anybody talk about that? When Obi won president election in Lagos, did anybody go to cry? But we know what we're doing. We will allow you to win what you want to win, but don't disturb us from winning our own too.
Senator,
that is just the whole thing.
Let's take a breather. We go on a break, and when we return, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim will stay with us. But before we go, let me give you the quiz for tonight. Let's scratch it, everyone. The quiz for tonight: who was the first female to contest as a presidential candidate in Nigeria? Is it Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Sarah Jubril, Dora Akunyili, or Remi Shonaya? Let's get cracking, everyone, on what the answer is. We'll be back after this break, everyone. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is here with me on the program. Donald Trump is making his decisions, his policies. Tariffs, big stick is wielded in the United States. Well, Mexico, China, and Canada are responding in like manner. What does this mean? How should Bola Tinubu, our president, approach this? It's a very difficult one, especially when Donald Trump is sending away some immigrants, he thinks, are not legitimately in that country. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone. They say whatever is happening in the world, it comes around. You cannot be an island in a global world where digitalization has also made the world, in fact, smaller. So whatever is happening in the United States, you can say number one country in the world is also going to have an impact on Nigeria. So President Donald Trump in the United States has pushed some new trade law territory, signing a lot of executive orders with an emergency sanctions to justify punishing 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico on imports and an extra 10% duty on Chinese goods to curb fentanyl and illegal immigration into the United States. Those countries are already, call it trade retaliation. Well, Ms. Okonjo-Iweala, the chair of the WTA, is warning about the decisions of Mr. Donald Trump. Mr. Donald Trump has told his citizen in the United States that some of the tariff policy will cause immediate pain, but they are necessary to be done. We also, Marco Rubio is telling Panama that if do not curb the intervention of China into the canal, it will be forced to take action. These are some of the policies that Donald Trump promised that he was going to take, and he's already taking them. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is still my guest on the program. With your experience in the world studies, a PhD in world studies, your economic and foreign relations studies, I'm imagining, and you are the senator on interparliamentary globally and on behalf of Nigeria. One is worried, first and foremost, the fact that immigrants are being sent packing out of the United States. Does that bother you as a lawmaker?
No, because Donald Trump has two options: protect America's sovereignty, or let America remain the global hegemonic leader after the end of the Cold War in 1991. So America is tied to hegemon of the entire world. Now, that hegemonic responsibility is creating pains to America's internal democracy and internal well-being. Now, the sovereignty is at stake. So when you come in as a new president, you have to pick one. Should I protect the sovereignty of America? Absolutely, in quotes. Or should I continue to be hegemon with pains and heavy burdens on my shoulder? You just rightly said something interesting now, that Donald Trump said that those policies are short-term measures will create pains, just like the New Hope agenda of Bola Tinubu here. Yeah, I'm happy you acknowledge that. Now coming to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a realist. America is a liberal democracy. So you see a situation whereby a realist is running a liberal democratic state. Now, what do I mean by this? For example, America believes in collaboration and cooperation to order new international arrangements. But Donald Trump is a realist. Realists believe in aggressiveness, acquisition of power to resolve any state of statism or political violence. So you see the two are not the same. So for the realist, he wants to strike. So expect more executive order from Donald Trump, expect more court actions, international court actions for Donald Trump. International institutions like United Nations, WHO, and the climate change agenda expect that Donald Trump will hit you. So what he is saying is that, look, America, one, the first thing in my mind, American sovereignty, second thing, American sovereignty, third thing, we will do impossible things to get there. But for the rest of the world, here is my program. Do whatever you want to do with me. I'm ready for you. As far as I'm concerned, America cannot be the sacrifice for the global system. But the challenge here is that if America loses the global hegemonic status, China will pick it. And that becomes a big issue that America has to address. But within the conflict between sovereignty, of American sovereignty, as well as hegemonic responsibility, I think Donald Trump is saying, let me take more, let me think towards America sovereignty. And any president will protect the internal sovereignty of his own territory. I think that is the way Donald Trump. But don't expect that Donald Trump, being a realist, will not behave like a realist. Donald Trump will go to bed with Russia. Russia is a real estate. Donald Trump will do the same thing, very closely related. He may not hunt China because China is a real estate. It's not a liberal state or a liberal democracy. Now, Donald Trump, within the preview of the liberalist, is going to be quiet a bit. See, he hasn't said anything about Britain. He hasn't said anything about Europe. Because these are liberal society. You know, liberals don't go to war with another liberal state. So he's keeping mute in all those areas, but he's engaging those other people who could actually touch the power with him. And if anything you need to know is the fact that China is moving very, very quickly to take over the hegemonic leadership of the world. If I say today, economically, China is it. You know, politically it may not. So all of these issues are coming up, and China is collaborating with Russia and some other bloc over there. So America doesn't probably have the resources to continue to be the hegemonic leader.
So Senator, you look at the trade deficit in the U.S., either against China and India, which are some of the countries that America does business, the most importation and exportation in that sense. If you look at it, America has over 90% dependency or sufficiency for food production on the and I imagine even in other sectors the sufficiency or the dependence on local production and consumption is there in America. And I imagine where America will say go to any other part of the world, but again there isn't anyone in the global world today that will say I don't need anybody. It's almost impossible. There is in that interconnectivity. But the big question here is that does it make sense? For example, the WHO and some other interests, America has withdrawn. Has withdrawn its contribution, is withdrawn its interest in some of these things that are supposed to stabilize the rest of the world. And don't forget, the threat on outside of America's soil also can affect America. I understand the policy of America first of Donald Trump, but in that sense, wouldn't it hurt?
No. Don't look at it from that way. Yes, no country is absolute in sovereignty. In other words, nobody have. Sovereignty itself is hypocritic. It's hypocrisy. You know, but as much as that may be, countries are set up to protect their own internal sovereignty as number one agenda. You know, and membership of the geocentric political system, it depends on your comfort. You know, you talk about WHO. Yes, I appreciate that. But if you look at World Health Organization, America has contributed $1.5 billion. What is the population of America? Put it at 500 million people. 500 million people. Now distribute $1.5 billion to 500 million people. Look at the gain, the net gain. So can you continue to do this at the expense of your trade deficit? That's one problem. Now again, realists think that international institutions like United Nations, World Bank, IMF are a phenomena. That is, they don't have a mind of their own. And the argument is that, look, people that send you to the UN will dictate what you want to go and do in the UN. So it's not necessary that the UN itself have a mind of its own. And Donald Trump is saying, all these bundles of institutions you call international institutions are just there for their own selfish interest. As far as I'm concerned, I have to protect Americans. Yeah, you may be self-sufficient in food, but at the same time, if you are that very self-sufficient, why in 2006, Google went to China, I'm sure you are aware, and then it was locked off from the airspace. American company went to China and they built 96-story building, and then they recruited with China. They wanted operation. China just wiped them off the system. You can't access Google over there. Those are kind of political war that you see on the ground coming up. So it is not that America can do whatever it wants to do in terms of, you can be self-sufficient to the extent that you can control your population, your boundaries, set up immigration, set away migrants and all that. But you cannot even have control over emails that enter America a day. That is the limitation to your sovereignty. So Donald Trump, as a realist, will behave like a realist who doesn't believe in international institutions, mind you. That is just exactly what the matter is. They don't believe in international institutions. So all international institutions during this time of Donald Trump should prepare for some sort of
hostility.
Now, you talk about the climate change. He withdrew the signature from the Paris meeting, yes. But even in Tokyo Convention, America Senate didn't approve that because America is second largest polluter of the world. And if you pollute the environment, the consequences are you have to pay. So if you are signature to the treaty, then the next stage or phase of that treaty is your responsibility to protect and responsibility to pay damages to those economies that you have actually destroyed. Like Africa, for example, how much the world is owing to Africa in terms of climate change disaster. It's much, and America is owing half of that to Africa. Do you think they have the money to pay? America debt is about $48 trillion. Yeah. So we have $48 trillion deficit. You are still taking the burden of the world as a hegemon, and at the same time, polluter must pay in climate change environment, and you have to pay, because you polluted the environment. Where do you think this money is going to come from?
Let me ask you, if you were President Tinubu, what would you be doing? How would you be preparing yourself? Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump effect will happen to Nigeria.
Well, Donald Trump started that already by saying he won't talk about Nigeria now, but he has said to say that, if I heard him very well, executive order about 10% tariff on oil, crude oil, petrol. So what is that of that to Nigeria? It means that maybe Dangote company will probably gain from that, in the sense that if you put 10% tariff on crude oil, and America is buying your crude oil, and you pay additional 10% tariff, and you are going to put refined product back to Nigeria, that will have the pressure on the price increase. But Tinubu won't have a problem at all with Donald Trump, because Tinubu is a liberalist. Tinubu is not a realist. So Tinubu, fought pari passu with the American Liberal Democratic Society. So as a country, Nigeria and United States will not be in conflict at all, because Nigeria is a liberal state and then America is a liberal state. But the ruler of Nigeria is a liberalist. The ruler of America is a realist. This is where the issues are. So Tinubu believes in collaboration and cooperation to solve problems. You can see that when he distilled it to ECOWAS and Africa by election, Africa by extension, and there is movement around the global system to make sure that he order international peace, and cooperation and collaboration, to have a very nice peace agenda. But Donald Trump is not in that arrangement. Donald Trump is saying, well, I know about peace, but I need to acquire more ammunition, more power, so that if there is a state of sadism tomorrow, I don't even know whether it will happen. I'm not going to be waiting for that period to happen before I get prepared that it happens. So whatever you want to do, immigrant, leave my country. I can do it without you. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that.
I mean, if you say you say that Tinubu should not be worried, yes, as insulated,
yes.
When we wonder what the implication of Donald Trump's statement when he said that the BRICS and some of these other global institutions and association might be feeling the effect of Trump's action. Nigeria has accepted the partnership status in BRICS. Do you think at some point this competition that BRICS intend to have with the G8 member countries would also come down home and come hard home?
In fact, it provides opportunity for Donald Trump to talk to Tinubu, as Africa leader, to be able to reduce.
You think Trump cares about Africa?
Why he will. Over time he will. Because you see, you can't fight China, fight Russia, fight Britain, and leave Africa. No. You're going to settle with one or two of this. Look, I've told you this very clearly, Sheon. The currency that realists know is power. Liberalists don't trade in power. All these things they've said about Tinubu, how many people has he arrested? That's a liberal for you. But for a realist, it's power. Currency they know is power. Now coming to your question, is America the buyer of Nigeria crude oil? If the answer is no, where does the 10% tariff affected us? So where do you think that Donald Trump has a very good opportunity to sit down with Tinubu, an African leader, and understand what exactly the political engagement that you have there? Because China is already infiltrating into Africa. China gave loans to many African countries to build their port, seaport, and all that. What is China looking for? The legitimacy of the continent. At the same time, China has come to Bola Tinubu and say, look, come and trade in our currency. And Tinubu are giving them the answer. Increase the volume of trade, increase my benefit before I come to you. They go back home to think about it. What do they need Nigeria for? They need legitimacy. So over time, America and China are going to really, be looking at Africa as the major decider of the geocentric political system in terms of the hegemonic leadership of the world and its acceptance. But that is not the immediate focus of Donald Trump now. His immediate focus is internal democracy in America. Immediate focus is how to reduce the deficit financing in America's system. And the same thing by saying, let me increase the tariff to make more money. Is that not the purpose? So if I make more money, it will be painful to America because they will get the prices of items increase. Just like Bola Tinubu says, let me remove price of petrol. It will be very painful, you know, at the initial stage, but I can assure you very well that at the end of the day, you're getting better. Are those two policies not similar?
Senator, we've got to go. Thank you so much indeed, Senator. But before we go, this is the answer to our quiz tonight. Who was the first female to contest as a presidential candidate in Nigeria? Well, if you said Dora Akunyili or Remi Oshona, you might be wrong, or Ivan Konjo Nwala. But the answer is Sarah Jibura. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, thanks so much indeed for coming tonight.
Nice to be here.
I'm sure I'll see you next time. God bless Nigeria.